Hey guys, this is PainUser bringing you another audio analysis, and this is a game between myself and Andro on Delta Quadrant, one of the new 4-player maps. Very macro-oriented map, tons of free expansions in the middle of the map. If you look here, there's a gold. The naturals are behind your base with destructible rocks. There's free expansions all the way around the mid, 4 gold expansions and 4 normal expansions. And this pregame chatter is just me and him having a little chat. We had just played a custom game, and he actually beat me in a custom game while I was streaming and started announcing to my stream after the game who he was and other top players that he had beaten. Really just trying to get his name out there as a player on my stream, and I didn't appreciate that too much, and I was just letting him know. Just poking a little fun. So there's a little bit of E-drama for you guys. Maybe spice this game up a little bit. I really wanted to win this, as it was on ladder, so there is a little bit on the line. It's much more important than a custom game, at least. So yeah, on this map, I was looking to play a very macro-oriented game. My game plan going into this was to establish my natural by breaking down these destructible rocks, and then slowly move out and take my secondary natural, or my tertiary, with some slow mech play, because you can really use these ledges behind your tertiary to your advantage. And you can also control this ground out towards mid very well with mech. So I opted not to go with standard bio play. Usually I'll open against Protoss with a quick Marine, Marauder, Reaper follow-up, which is actually a build popularized by Chthonluck that's very effective to apply early pressure to a Protoss player. And our scout's actually crossing here. I should have realized this and actually just scouted straight cross map based on the timing of his scout, but I actually didn't think about that at the time. So right here I'm just doing a standard 12 racks, 13 gas, going straight into my factory, then adding a second gas. Also trying to scare off his scouting probe here. I almost managed to get it with a little bit of Marine micro, but he gets away with just under 1 hit left. His probe lives to fight another day. So he's actually getting out an early Zealot and then getting out that quick Stalker, which is standard play from Protoss players these days. A lot of people getting that early Zealot to prevent any kind of early Marauder pressure. The Zealot is essentially just a meat shield for the Stalker, and it allows the Stalker to do damage while the Zealot is tanking most of the hits, and it makes it very difficult to do damage with your early pressure with players who do use that. So here I've got my second gas going. I'm also adding my first factory and continuing to pump out Marines and hit my supply depots all the way along. It's very important early on that you don't supply lock yourself, especially when you're doing a quick mech build against Protoss, because it's really important to get that first siege tank out as quickly as possible, because you have to deal with that early pressure, and it's very difficult to hold it off with strictly Marines. So here you see he's coming in with his first Stalker and that Zealot, and he actually does some good micro here, stays just out of range of my Marines. I actually drop my depot, head out, and try and push him back, but he brings that Zealot in to screen and just takes some damage for the Stalker. And this is very frustrating. Right now I'm just trying to delay him long enough to get that bunker up. I dropped that bunker as soon as I saw that he was doing early pressure like this, and I do manage to get that up and load it up. So really at this point I'm safe from anything he can throw at me in the early game. I love throwing down an early bunker like that. It's very cost effective, and if worse comes to worse and you don't need it later, you can always go ahead and recycle that bunker for 100% of its worth. So when in doubt, drop bunkers, especially against Protoss. Their units are just so strong early game, and if someone's 4-gating you or all-inning you, it's very nice to have some static defenses that you can rely on. So now, I don't think he's going to be making a move towards my base anytime soon. I feel it's safe to go break down those back rocks, which is something you have to be very careful about on any map, because when you do divert forces to the back of your natural to actually take those rocks down, you need to make sure that you have enough at your front door to hold it in the event that he does push at that random timing. And sometimes people will actually have an observer at your base by the time you go back there. See, His observer is already creeping into my base right now. Let me go ahead and turn this volume down a little bit just so you guys can hear me talking a little bit better. Sorry about that. So his observer is already coming into my base at this point, but I am getting out a very early Raven so I can ward that observer off. I'm doing the 1-1-1 build, getting out a very quick Raven, and this build actually covers you to almost anything that a Protoss player can throw at you in the early game. If he rushes DTs, I do not manage to get that observer. He gets it just out of range in time. Another little frustrating thing that happened in this game, but that's okay. You can't win them all. So now I'm just building up my tank count, continuing to get Marines, and I'm also building a Banshee right now. I'm going to go ahead and keep the production tab open for a little bit just so you guys can get a better idea of what's going on. He's also taking his back natural as well, and his tertiary, so he's double expanding, which is relatively safe considering that I'm going mech. He already has his first immortal out. He's continuing to add gateway units into his mix. I'm coming into his base from the back with my initial Raven just to get some scouting information. I know I'm not going to do any damage here. This play is strictly to get scouting information, maybe kill a probe with the auto turret if I get lucky. But he actually has his army position right there, ready to go. So now I know what he's going. I've seen his robo. I know that he's producing immortals and he's getting gateway units. So now I get my natural expansion going, get both the gases up and running. This is a very gas-intensive build. I am going mech. I have added my second factory, and I'm looking to slow play and take my third as soon as possible, while being safe to anything a Protoss player can throw at me. And now, if you see, he's also adding Void Rays into his army mix. I'm just harassing with this single Banshee, poking at his base, making sure to keep him on his toes, keep him honest. And I love sending an early Banshee to a Protoss player's base because it's very difficult for them to deal with it, especially if they don't have any Phoenix. You can continually harass in and out, prevent your Banshee from taking damage, and you really don't even need Cloak, to be honest. I mean, most Protoss players are going to have an Observer, especially if they have a Robo. He actually has an Observer in the area. But I'm just poking in and out, getting an idea of how large his army is, and using that Banshee to its maximum effect. Let me check. This Banshee has 10 kills alone, so she has paid for herself and then some. She actually gets a few more in a little bit. He tries to come find the Banshee with his Void Ray. He's just checking the back of his base. I head back in here,